Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing the skylight, and then we're going to run the power cable. We're going to run a Starlink power cable across here to this seam, and then down that seam into this cabinet, and then over here, and then into there. And I'm going to repurpose this, hopefully, so we can use that little wine guard power button as your Starlink power on-off switch.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you guys have already disconnected the wine guard, so that's fine. So now we got to get on with removing this skylight. And to do that, you basically stick something under it, and you're just gonna carefully pry this out. And then that reveals 2 screws. So we're gonna do that. For these 3, there isn't one over here that just pulls out, but hopefully what I'm going to do is just drop this down, and I'm hoping then I can drill through here and snake the cord through here so we don't have to take this whole thing down. But anyway, so that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to go around and pop this out. And this is how you take your skylight out or down if you need to. And it has little, see, it just has these little tabs that you push in, and that gets it to pop out. Okay, so we got 1 screw, 2 screws there, and that'll have 2 screws. So we'll get on with doing that. Okay, so I'm just using a square tip screwdriver. Everything Leisure uses is a square tip, and I'm taking all the screws out. They've already put in these foam pads to block the sun to keep the skylight from overheating, so that's a good thing. Boy, these aren't in. These screws are barely grabbing. Whoa, okay, so I didn't know. So this side just pushes on. Okay, so we've got this off. So this is really what the skylight looks like. And as I said, we're going to run. And you can see up here that the ceiling is just basically a foam backed piece of vinyl, and then you have a little thin, about 1/8 of an inch wooden board right there. You can probably see it better right here. And then you've got this metal framing that Leisure uses inside the wood, and then above that is styrofoam. So we are going to run the Starlink cord between the foam and this board this way and hook onto this channel. So I've got to pop this channel off, and then we'll have that open to run the cord. So I'll do that. And the way that I want to do it, starting from back here. So I'm going to have to stand on the bed.
Do you want us to pull any of this back?
No. Wow, this doesn't want to come. Okay, so I just had to use these pry tools to get this to pop off.
4147
And then now
1816.
just pops all the way back.
Just a minute.
Okay. All right, so like I said, you can see there's a track here. So I'm going to run the cord for the Starlink on the side of the track, because you can see by this that it just fits in the center. So there is room along the side of this track for a cord. Okay, and then on the inside of this compartment, I've already popped this one down. So we can, there should be a hole that we can come in through now, right up here at the top. So we'll have to see if that hole is there. I hope it is, otherwise I have to make a hole. Okay, so let me get the cord and keep going. Using my little tool to make an opening around over to this track. And then I'm going to run the cord here and run it down there, and I'm probably going to have to drill a hole down there. So we'll go through that and come back when we get down there. Oh, okay. All right, now I want to leave some cord for the Starlink. So it's going to go like this. So leave enough to plug in. And then this will run along here. This. Okay. So I'm going to have to drill a hole down there. So let me get my drill, I'll come back. Okay, so I drilled a small hole up there to feed the cord through. Now I can just pull it through and lay it down along, and I will snap this track back in. Are you videoing that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go down this strip little by little. And push it in. I'll be back.
So you didn't tell us how you ended up in it.
Okay, so we've snapped this down. We ended up having to use a rubber mallet to tap that in. But we've got everything snapped back, and it looks just like it did originally, which is what we're going for. All right, so now we are going to remove this panel so we can get to this and install our step-up converter. Oh, and I'll put this, I gotta put this little trim ring back on. I'll probably have to notch it out for this cord, so I'll do that next. Okay, I had about that much plastic sticking out here, so I just cut it off, so I'll have a gap for the wire that's here. I'll put it back on. All right, so this is back in place. Now that I'm just going to run the wire over, but first I'm going to take this out and see what I've got to deal with. All right, so there's just 4 screws. So I'll remove these 4 screws and we'll pull this panel off. All right, so now we're going to remove this panel, which is not hard to do. Okay. Let's see if I can do it this way. You got a bunch of your satellite stuff, so I'm gonna take this panel out next because this doesn't with all the cables screwed in, it doesn't really lend itself to being pulled out. I definitely need to have access to this panel. So I'll take these 2 screws out and pull this out. We are not using all this satellite stuff. I'm going to get my wrenches so I can take these apart. Oh, here they are. Okay. So this is just all antenna booster, over-the-air antenna. So all this stuff can be disconnected. It runs the TV, but it's disconnected from the roof, so we don't really need all that. And then I can work on this panel a little bit easier. He said, so I think, so I couldn't use it. I had to install another switch. And I said, interesting. I said, okay, I'll check my voltage first. Has a lot of voltage drop. Oh. Oh wow, that's the same thing he had. Okay, are you videoing this? Okay. All right, anyway, I wanted to use this Winegard switch. But I am seeing there is a lot of voltage drop. This is the voltage coming in from the leisure fuse panel. And the Lithionics battery is 13.4 volts. So this is only making, I guess because of the wire, distance of the wire run, it's only 11.76, which is terrible. But then when you press the power switch is on, you can see the lights there, and you test the terminals where the power is coming through on the switch. It only has 5 volts, which is terrible. Okay, so I definitely can't use that as a switch for the Winegard. But I can still use this as the power supply for a step-up, for the step-up converter to use that voltage to supply plus 20 volts or 24 volts. We're using a 24 volt step-up up here to the Skylight. So that's fine to use that, but we're not really going to have this on-off feature. So my question for you guys is, do you care? You know, I like the idea of having a switch. I don't have a switch on my own because quite frankly, I mean, you can either unplug the Starlink or you can go into the Starlink app and set a sleep time, which turns it off. And like I turn mine off, you know, from 10 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. To give it a break. But so you really have those 2 options where you can manually turn it off, put it to sleep, or you can just unplug it. So you know, if you guys don't, you know, I mean, it's just an extra step not to install a switch. Okay, so we won't do that. But this was very surprising. I am going to use the wiring to this panel. And I'm going to use Wago connectors, so it's always easy to disconnect in case the owners ever needed to connect the power. Okay. The fuse that I thought in the fuse panel that powered this it doesn't it actually doesn't power it. So I'm putting another fuse on here because I'm not sure where the power comes. I pulled every fuse in the fuse panel and it never shut the volt power off to this. So I'm adding an inline fuse so this is protected because I don't know how this is powered. So I will, bottom line, I have this step-up converter. I've already added a pigtail of wires to go on the coach side, and then I have another set of wire because I didn't know how much I would need to power the Starlink. So I will, I'm going to put it inside this panel and bring the wires out there. And then I can put this panel back on just for a cover plate. So I'll get on with doing that and show you what it looks like. All right, so there's the step-up converter. Step-up converter. This is a 12 to 24. And like I said, I already ran the input wiring that I'm using the leisure wiring for. And then there's the output wiring, that's these two. And I'm going to hook that to the Starlink. I've run, the Starlink up on the ceiling there. So I'm going to come in on the front side of that panel. And then, so I'm going to hook this to that. So I'm just going to push this, the step-up converter right inside this little compartment so it's out of the way. And then I'm going to run the wires through the hole, make my connections, and then I'll be able to button up the panel. Like I said, I'm using Wago connectors. So I will finish getting this installed and come back and show you. Okay, so I made the connection for the Starlink cable. And so now everything is connected. Now I need to put my fuse in and pull this. I'm going to pull this back to here and use this panel to cover it up and push it all in. And then we can test the power and make sure we've got good voltage at the Starlink, and we'll be done. Oops. All right, we should see 24.1 volts. Yay! All right, we're in biz. Okay, so we got Starlink power done. Okay, so now I'm going to tuck all these wires. Oh, I think I'm going to tape these up with electrical tape just so I don't worry about them pulling out or anything. And then I'm going to tuck them back in and put this panel back on, and we will be done. Alright, so everything for the Starlink is right behind this panel.
Okay.
I think I need to, I'm going to cut off some. Notched out the panel up there on the top so it wouldn't pinch the wire. So this is all back in place, and that's great. Okay, so we're done with that. Let's see if you can get the okay, can hold that up now.
Yep.
think it works best if you put one side in.
Yeah. And then kind of just push them.
And then, yeah, ease up. Now, I just use, I actually just use two,
Oh, you do? Okay.
so it's up to you.
Yeah. That's fine. We got a set of 3, but we can only use 2.
Okay, where's the, and then I just move them. Blue light!
Yeah.
Assume, I don't know.
No. Okay, so Starlink's working. We put this strap on it, but they're going to play with how they want to do the strap. But this is secure, and that'll work great driving down the road. So it's all done, and like I said, they already put the foam in to protect the Starlink from the direct sun, so it doesn't overheat. And they're good to go. So, I don't know if you guys saw, I posted that Starlink actually has a new technology. It's a beam technology. So they're using more beams to hit the Starlink, so obstructions are less of a problem because you've got like more points going to it. So they actually are saying, you know, you don't really have to like cut down branches and everything to get a clear view, because now this new beam technology allows you to be able to park under, you know, light, I'm going to say light shade, you know, as long as you have some clear sky, it doesn't impact it like it used to do. So this, here in the Skylight, it should perform very well for you. All right, we're done.